Alright, so I managed to get a chance to play Gundam Evolution during their playtest and only had a little time with it since I was late to applying for the playtest. I mostly played as Pale Rider, which I'll get into in a bit, but the time I spent with the game was pretty fun. The fast-paced arcade shooter is definitely something to keep your eye on if you like games like Team Fortress 2 and Overwatch. Especially Overwatch. Before I get into the details, I just want to remind you, if you like what you see, hit those like and subscribe buttons and check out the description for my social media links like my Twitter and Twitch. With that out of the way, let's continue. So let's tackle the elephant in the room right at the top. Gundam Evolution is literally Overwatch with a Gundam skin. It may as well be a full conversion mod for Overwatch with how similar it is. Sure, some game modes are more or less the same thing you'd find in Overwatch, but with all the shooters out there, there's bound to be some crossover in that respect. What really got me in this whole thing are the mobile suits themselves, basically the heroes you'll play as in this game. I tried out a handful, each with their own playstyle, but I played Pale Rider the most, and let me tell you, this mobile suit is just like Soldier 76 from Overwatch. They each have a similar main weapon, they both have a deployable healing skill with a small radius and are able to get around pretty quickly. The main differences you'll find between these two is that Pale Rider throws grenades, where Soldier has a grenade launcher on their rifle. Pale Rider's ultimate ability really just amplifies your damage, where Soldier's is an aimbot of sorts. Even some of the sound effects are pretty similar, like the sound heard when getting assists or kills. Even with that said, the similarities outweigh the differences. Is that a bad thing? Personally, I would have liked more differences for the core fighter hero, but I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing overall. But the landscape might be too familiar for Overwatch players. It can honestly go either way. You can feel right at home, or wonder why you're not just playing Overwatch instead. If you're not an Overwatch player and really just came in here because you like Gundam, I don't think this would be too much of a problem for you, and you'll just need to make your own mind up about the gameplay. Just like most things in this game, the gameplay is pretty similar to Overwatch, however that doesn't mean bad. The game is pretty well made and it feels good to play. Some mobile suits are more mobile than others, so it's hard to gauge overall movement as each mobile suit is pretty different from each other. The gunplay is solid, and honestly there's nothing really bad about the game that I was able to notice so far in terms of gameplay. However, there is a neat mechanic that isn't present in other games filling in this same subgenre as this one: reviving teammates. Sure, Overwatch has a character that can revive other players, but in Gundam Evolution, everyone has the capability to revive a downed teammate. I think this is really cool for a game like this because it presents a risk-reward factor not excessively common in this type of game. For example, if you see a teammate get downed, you'll have the opportunity to revive them, but odds are that if you do make the attempt, the same enemies that took them down will also have a line of sight on you going for the revive. So at that point, you have to quickly weigh your options. Is it worth going for the revive and risking getting downed as well, or do I just let them respawn and wait for a better opportunity to push? These little decisions are what makes competitive shooters interesting to me. Sure, there's that big picture of winning or losing, but the micro decisions in games are really what make them special for me. Outside of that, the game modes are okay. They're mostly what you've seen before, and I do wish there were more types of game modes during the playtest, but I'm almost certain we'll see more varied game modes available once the game is fully released. I'm not holding my breath on that, but it's likely. The audio in this game is either awesome or not impressive, depending on where you stand as a Gundam fan. If you're not a fan, you'll probably wonder why some of the sound effects are pretty old sounding. However, if you are a fan, you'll hear a lot of familiar sounds that are from the anime. So much so, it almost sounds like they ripped sound effects from the anime, cleaned it up, and dropped them into the game. So at least there's something there for the fans. What I do find really cool is the ability to change the voice you'll hear in your games as your pilot. I played several games as different mobile suits, but wondered why I was hearing the same voice over and over.
Are you ready? We're dropping you back in now.
Right. Preparations complete. The battle's about to begin. Hope this helps. Let's give it our all.
It turns out there's a separate menu where you could select between many different voices, each with their own cadence, personality, and, of course, sound.
Reloading! Reloading! 1 sec! Thanks for that.
Enemy unit down. Enemy defeated.
Oops! Sorry. Really sorry.
Got the skills to pay the bills.
Just a scratch. Nothing to worry about.
I imagine this is to simulate you being a pilot, able to pilot many different mobile suits, so no matter what suit you go with into battle, you're the same pilot every time. I thought this was a neat touch, and I hope to see more voices included in the future. Now, I did want to talk about the playtest for a few moments, because while I did have fun with it, I did feel pretty exhausted by the end of it. I have a feeling this was because the playtest only had the ranked mode available to queue up in, or as far as I could tell it was the only way to queue up, so every game I played was a sweat fest. Everyone was playing hard to win, so I ultimately also ended up getting pretty sweaty since it was the only way I was able to keep up. After each game, I'd see my ranking go down or up, depending on how things went, and just kept thinking, why is it ranked? I just want to try out the game. The devs probably had their reasons, like to test out the MMR win-loss post-game deduction or gains, which makes sense from that angle, but I'll be honest, I had to stop after a while just because it was tiring me out. I know there are a lot of competitive gamers out there, and if you got to try out the game during this playtest, then you probably felt right at home. But for a guy like me that just got off of work and wanted to chill, this playtest was not it. I also wanted to mention that this game is likely to be a free-to-play title, and of course that will mean microtransactions. I caught a small glimpse at the store while I was playing the game, and it definitely looks like there will be some kind of premium currency like Apex Legends, PUBG, or any other free-to-play game. If this is a deal breaker, then I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but if this is a non-issue, then you'll be okay, as it appears to be just cosmetics. You'll have skins for your mobile suits, gun charms, player icons, among other things to look forward to when you check out the store. It's not a huge thing, but I thought it was worth mentioning. Despite the ranked mode being the only way to queue up for matches, I did have a good time with this game. It's not anything new given how similar it is to Overwatch, but I had fun. From what I understand, this is a free-to-play game once it releases, so if you're curious about it, you may as well try it out for yourself when you can. I can't see myself playing this regularly since I already burned myself out playing Overwatch, but it might be something I periodically come back to just to get a night of gaming in with the boys. If you're a Gundam fan, I'd recommend trying it out, even if this isn't your kind of game. You'll at least get a kick out of seeing familiar mobile suits duke it out and hearing some nostalgic audio. All in all, Gundam Evolution is shaping up to be a pretty good game. I just hope we'll see some more varied game modes, more mobile suits, and more maps as the game gets released and beyond. Alongside that, more variations to distance itself from being compared to Overwatch would be welcome, as the comparison has been made since it was first revealed. This game does need its own identity outside of the IP it's based on, so I hope we'll see more of that in the future. And that's about all I had for this one. Thanks for watching. Again, if you like what you see, consider hitting those like and subscribe buttons, as that always helps me out. Check the description to find my social media links, including my Twitter and Twitch. With that being said, stay hydrated, I hope you have a good one, and I'll catch you next time.